All right.
Okay. Hello, everyone. My name is Jennifer Javier. I'm the Associate Director of Justice-Based Initiatives, overseeing the Reentry Workforce Development Demonstration Program. I'm joined by my colleague Ested Ovaje, Senior Program Manager, also overseeing this work. This is a pre-recorded webinar about the Reentry Workforce Development Demonstration Program. And we'll also be hosting a live office hours on May 23rd from 11 to 12. And we invite all of you to join us to ask questions. There's also an opportunity to submit questions to me in writing. Well, I'll explain a little bit more about how you can do that, but essentially you'll just email me, and then any answers will be posted actually on our website. But we'll share a little bit more about that at the end of this webinar. Next slide. So about the initiative, the Reentry Workforce Development Demonstration Program is an initiative under the Secretary of Labor and Workforce Development, Laura Jones, in support of the Healy-Driscoll administration's efforts to improve workforce outcomes for individuals returning to their communities after incarceration. In other words, returning citizens. This is funded through a General Appropriation Act in the fiscal year 2026 state budget. And it's an annual grant that really aims to increase the number of formerly incarcerated individuals successfully placed into career tracks and sustainable wage employment opportunities. The grant initiative goals is to provide occupationally focused training and job placement grant programs for the target population. The key success indicator for this is job placement at the end of the grant program. And that's measured by participants securing and retaining a job for at least 30 days within 3 months of the grant period end date. And this just research shows that pre-release training and education and case management can have a positive effect on post-release wages and reduce recidivism. So for the purposes of this solicitation, these are the definitions for the following terms that we'll be using throughout this webinar and throughout the RFP. So first, applicants. So applicants are organizations applying to receive funds, and they're accountable to grant terms and responsible for coordinating all activities of the grant program. Partners are organizations committed to working together with the applicants to implement the grant program. Required partners must have an executed memorandum of understanding, while recommended partners or non-required partners must have a signed MOU or a letter of commitment. Partnerships is just applicants, partners, all partners working together to implement the grant program. Participants are the individuals enrolled in the grant program. And grant program is just the proposed training, case management, and the wraparound services and support and job placement for the grant program. The Memorandum of Understanding, or MOU, is a formal yet non-binding agreement intended to express the goodwill between partners. This is not a legally binding contract. The Memorandum of Agreement, or MOA, is a legally binding contract that documents the terms and obligations between partners. And we'll explain a little bit more about how that comes into play later on when we talk about partnerships. A letter of commitment is similar to an MOU. It's a formal, also non-binding document where a partner expresses intent to support and contribute resources to the applicant. And so kind of the difference between an MOU and a letter of commitment is an MOU will oftentimes outline the activities that a partner will do to support the applicant, whereas a letter of commitment is just showcasing their support and supplying any resources to the applicant. So eligible applicants are, for at least this purpose for this solicitation are community-based organizations, particularly those with a track record of serving the target population. They can be nonprofit education, training, or other service providers. Mass hire workforce boards or career centers are also welcome to apply. HUC or DOC facilities, House of Corrections, Department of Corrections facilities are also invited to apply for this grant. And then other agencies or entities who are able to receive state funding and are deemed eligible by ComCorp. Next slide. In terms of partnership requirements, we invite applicants to fulfill at least 4 of these partnership requirements. So in terms of employer partners, we do ask folks to submit 2 MOUs with different businesses or employer partners with operations in the state of Massachusetts and that employ Massachusetts residents in the target occupation. So at least 2 businesses with MOUs, at least 1 training provider with demonstrated expertise in providing occupational skills training integrated with work readiness, soft skills development, and placing individuals in the target occupation. At least 1 community-based social service provider with a demonstrated expertise in engaging and supporting the target population in successfully transitioning to the community, and to employment as evidenced by a proven track record of practicing culturally responsive care in the community. And then we also require an MOU with 1 regional House of Corrections or Department of Corrections facility. In terms of, and these 4 required partners, we require a memorandum of understanding or a signed MOU with all of them. As far as non-required partnership members go or recommended partners, we do invite regional mass hire workforce boards or career centers to be recommended partners, regional probation or parole offices, and the Office of Community Corrections. And there might be others too, other required partnerships. Let's say if you have more than 2 businesses or more than 1 training provider. And they can either have a signed MOU with recommended partners or a letter of commitment.
All right, so for target service population, applicants funded under this grant will serve individuals who will come from the following populations. So individuals in a Department of Correction facility or a House of Correction facility who will be released within 180 days of a grant program start date, or those released up to 18 months before enrolling in a grant program, or a combination of both. So we've learned that providing programming to individuals within the 180 days aligns with the general timeline reentry services become accessible to incarcerated people. This allows additional time to build familiarity, foster a trusting relationship between staff, prospective clients, soft skills training, and assistance locating government documents. All right, so for target occupations, the goal is to provide training and placement services that prepare individuals to meet a regional business skill need and work readiness requirements for in-demand occupations. Applicants may either propose to train individuals for an occupation in a single industry sector or for occupations that exist in multiple industry sectors. In either case, applicants should identify a specific occupation to be targeted and design a training program that prepares individuals for that specific occupation. The regional blueprint identify life sciences, healthcare, and human services, clean energy, and advanced manufacturing as high growth career pathways throughout the Commonwealth. You can find the regional blueprints linked in our RFP. Also, alongside that is the industry pathways, which are sourced from the North American Industry Classification System, which is also linked in there. However, we do recognize that there are occupations with identical required skills and credentials for entry. So applicants may propose to train individuals for multiple target occupations if the required skill and credentials are identical and can be attained through participation in the same training program. So to continue this, applicants must identify a target region and include information about unmet demand for workers for the target occupation. This information must come from regional employers. So things to include in there are current and projected vacancies, indicating that that job is relevant to the need for those type of occupations and will continue to be in demand. Two, projected increase in demand for target occupation skills. So this also goes into the expectancy that there's going to be an increase, which will lead to a higher growth industry. Three, credentials required for entry so that the actual training program fully understands what's necessary in order to make sure someone is completely prepared for that role. And four, demonstrate relevance of occupation for the region and employers. There's a growing body of research demonstrating that job seekers benefit from starting at a higher wage and by participating in programs that provide information and coaching on career continuums beyond the first entry-level job. All right, so for resources and expectations. So Commonwealth Corporation anticipates awarding up to a total of 2.5 million in grants through this solicitation. This projection is based on funding anticipated to be appropriated in the FY26 budget. There's a maximum investment target for 15K per employment outcome that has been established. But please note the most competitive historical applications have averaged approximately $7,205 per employment outcome. This per person amount includes all expenses required to obtain an employment outcome, including recruitment, training, support, program design, and program management. Partnerships have approximately 12 months to deliver their grant program. And we do ask that applicants be thoughtful about what they propose in order to maximize public dollars. The proposal must include an enrollment and training schedule that allows for job placement on this timeline. All right, so for program training models, we ask that they propose a set of services to enroll participants into an occupational skills training program that will result in job placement, which is the ultimate goal of the program, and implement one or both program training models listed below. So the first model is to provide a post-release cohort-based occupational skills training and placement program that addresses the employer's workforce needs and prepares participants for employment. The second one is provide an individualized pathway for participants to access wraparound services and earn an industry recognized credential such as a ServSafe or OSHA. Participants can also earn certification, and this also is supplementary, including basic education, computer and technology skills, vocational training, post-secondary education, registered apprenticeship, on-the-job training, and paid work experience. Applicants should refer to the section 3 of the RFP for program design requirements for both pre-release training and post-release training. All right, so for our procurement timeline, the deadline to submit written questions to my colleague, Jennifer, is going to be June 10th, 2025. Answers to the written questions will be uploaded to our website June 13th. Applications due is by June 20th, 2025. And earliest anticipated contract start date is going to be October 1st, 2025 until September 30th, 2026. For budget forms in a new line item. So I have a screenshot here that shows you the first page of the budget form format. The summary will give you a breakdown of each of the budget line items as well as the investment analysis. If you look towards the bottom, there's going to be different colored tabs. The orange tab is the budget request form. In there, you may have line items that you will be entering in orange, but there are 3 sections that you will provide more details that will automatically populate into the orange tab. So the first one is going to be the internal salary details. Second one is the support services details and contracted services details. And one thing that we have added and wanted to note in section 1, participant incentives and gift cards. So incentives are often used to encourage certain behavior by program participants. The use of incentives should be tracked with documentation on the type of incentive, amount of incentive, and program recipient name. But please refer to the RFP for further guidance on this. One example that I wanted to include a $100 gift card in exchange for good attendance or to recognize program completion. And if the amount of the gift card alone or the gift card combines with the stipends exceeds $600 annually, the value of the gift card also needs to be documented on a 1099 miscellaneous form.
All right, on the same spreadsheet that Ested was talking about, the last tab will have the planned outcome goals chart. And so you will see at the very top the outcomes goals chart for your grant program. And you'll see the different quarters that are on there, and you will have to indicate the goals for each quarter that are cumulative and shows the progression of your goals throughout the year. On the second chart on that Excel sheet, you'll see an industry pathway chart. And this is for us to be able to track the specific goals in the industry pathway that you'll be training on. For some applicants, you'll only have one industry pathway that you'll be training on. And so that will be reflected in a single line here. And it might look very similar to the quarterly goals above. But we recognize there are some applicants who might be training in multiple industry pathways. And so we just want a little bit more detail about how those goals are broken down within each pathway. So there are 3 lines currently available for you to fill out. If there are more than that, just shoot me an email and we'll see if we can get you an updated template. But for now, there are 3, like I said, pathways or spots where you can indicate which pathways you'll be training in. And the RFP will have a little bit more details about how to fill that out. And then we also, applicants are required to submit a completed W-9 form signed within the last 12 months as part of the application process. Grantees selected for funding are required to submit an updated W-9 form if changes occur to your legal name, tax ID number, business address, or upon request by Commonwealth Corporation. I think the highlight here is just to ensure that W-9 is as up to date as possible. We're also requiring applicants to submit a certificate of compliance from the Massachusetts Department of Unemployment, DUA. This is a new self-service process, so there is a step-by-step guide linked in the RFP. It will provide a step-by-step guide in requesting a certificate of compliance through the DUA, and also how to access the account as well for employers. And so we just want to make sure also that the certificate of compliance has not expired by the date of the RFP application submission. And I think we're nearing the end. And so if you do have any questions, lingering questions, there are a couple of opportunities for you to ask them. One is at our office hours on Friday, May 23rd at 11 a.m. We will, both Ested and I will be back to answer any questions that you might have live. So if you scan the QR code right there, it will take you to a registration page for that Zoom meeting. And you can sign up through there and then ask questions live. You can also submit questions via email in writing to me, and my email will be in the final slide. And the answers to the questions that you've submitted will be posted on our website. And so if you want to be notified when an answer to any question has been posted, you can just scan the other QR code under Q&A notification sign up, and that will take you to a survey link to input your contact information, and we will use that list to notify folks when an answer has been posted on the website. And I think that's all we have. Thank you so much for tuning in, for watching our webinar. If you do have any other questions related to the procurement, please feel free to email me. It's jjavier@comcorp.org. It's on the RFP as well. But like I said, any answers to the questions will be posted on our website. Thank you so much and good luck.